and today we're going to do grade 10, 11, and 12 algebra, but most of the questions are grade 11 and grade 12. Okay, let's get to it. So question 3.1, the sum of two squares. So remember, when they say the sum, we are adding the sum of two squares. So whatever we are adding is squared. So both the terms are squared. Of two consecutive natural numbers. So if they say consecutive, it means that if the first term is 1, the second term is 2. So now, since they said the sum of two squares of two consecutive numbers, so it must be something like this. Then they say the sum gives us 85, determine the numbers. So this is just an example that I'm showing you to account for consecutive. But now we don't know the numbers that they actually added. So let's say the first term that was added is x. So remember, it must be squared. But then what is the next consecutive number of x? It is x plus 1. So remember, let's say our x is 1. So this would be 1 squared plus x plus 1, but we said our x is 1, so it would be 1 plus 1, which would still be 1 squared plus 2 squared. So let's determine the numbers. Okay, and they said it gives us 85. So this is going to be x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 85. So then we add like terms, 2x squared plus 2x plus 1 minus 85 equals to 0. So now you can see we have our quadratic minus 84. Then we can divide throughout by 2. Sorry, this should be 42. So now we're going to look for factors of 42, which give us the middle term when we add. So remember, there's a negative here, so we have 6 and 7. We have 6 and 7. Now, the sign over here tells us how the signs in the brackets must be. So now, if it's negative, it means that the signs should be opposite. So if there's a negative here, there's a positive here. And then this sign tells us that it's going to the bigger number. So this sign is going to the bigger number, which is 7. And then obviously the other one will go to the 6. Then we will have x is equals to 6 or x is equals to negative 7. Now remember, natural numbers are numbers from 0 to infinity, not the negatives. So it cannot be negative 7. So now if x is 6, then remember the consecutive term is x plus 1. So it would be 6 plus 1, which is 7. So those are the two numbers. Okay, now during a fundraising event, only 10 Rand, 20 Rands, 50 Rand notes were collected. In the final count, there were twice as many 20 Rand notes as there were 50 Rand notes, and 15 more 10 Rand notes than 50 Rand notes. So let's say you are the one at the event, and then you are collecting 10 Rands, your friend is collecting 20 Rands, and your other friend is collecting 50 Rand notes. So now, since we don't know how many were collected for each note, we can say that X amount of 10 Rands were collected. So this will be X multiplied by 10 Rands. And then Y multiplied by 20 Rands, since we don't know. and then Z multiplied by 50 Rand. So this will give us the amount of money that the 10 Rands gives us. So if you collected 10 Rands, this means that you collected 2 times 10 Rand, which in total you collected 20 Rand. So this is just an example. So now let's go to the question. They said there were twice as many 20 Rands as there were 50 Rand notes. So this means that if you collected 2 50 Rand notes, this means that you collected 4 20 Rand notes, right? So if you collected Z 50 Rand note, this means that you collected 2 Z 20 Rand notes, right? Okay, and then they furthermore said that 15 more 10 Rands than 50 Rand notes. So if you collected 5 50 Rand notes, this means you collected 15 more. So it's 15 plus 5 plus 5, 10 Rand. So if you collected 5 50 Rand notes, this means you collected 20 10 Rand notes. Okay. So now we have seen that since you collected 15 more 10 Rands than 50 Rand, it's going to be Z plus 15 multiplied by the 10 Rand. Plus, it said twice as many 20 Rand notes as there were 50 Rand notes. So this is going to be 2Z multiplied by 20 Rand plus Z 50 Rand. And all that in total should give us 10,150. So we can now multiply this out. So it's going to be Z times 10 Rands plus 150 Rands plus Z times 40 Rands. So it's the 2 times the 20 plus Z times 50 Rands is equal to 10,150. Now if you look over here, we have like terms, and this one is the same as this one, so we can take it to the other side. So it's going to be 10 plus 40 plus 50, which is Z 100, equals to 10,150 minus 150. So it's this 150 that we are subtracting. So Z times 100 is equals to 10,000. Then we divide both sides by 100 Rands. So the side cancels and we're left with Z is equals to, so the R's cancel. So we're left with 100 divided by 1, which is 100. So in total, there were 150 Rand notes collected. Now remember that for the 20 Rands collected, it was 2 times the 50 Rand note. So it's going to be 200. And then for the 10 Rands, they said that for 10 Rands, they collected 15 more than 50 Rands. So it's going to be 115 for the amount of 10 Rands collected. Okay. Okay, now 3.3. If 3 to the power 9x is equals to 64 and 5 to the power square root of p is equals to 64, calculate without the use of a calculator the value of 3 to the power x minus 1 all to the power 3 divided by square root of p to the power divided by square root of 5 to the power square root of p. Okay, if we take this 3 inside, it's going to be 3 to the power 3x minus 3. And then this we can rewrite as 5 to the power 1 over 2 multiplied by square root of p. So this is just going to be 3 to the power 3x multiplied by 3 to the negative 3 divided by 5 square root of p divided by 2. So now we can go to the 3 to the power 9x is equal to 64. So we can rewrite 9 as 3 times 3x. So now we can remove this 3 out. So we can have something like this, 3 to the power 3x, and then put our 3 outside. If we multiply this 3 back in, it's still going to give us 9x, okay, equals to 64. Now we can take the cube root of both sides. Remember, we are doing this because we have 3 to the power 3x, and now we have 3 to the power 3x over here. So we just want to isolate that. So we would be left with 3 to the power 3x is equals to cube root of 64, which is 4. Okay, now we can go to the 5 square root of p. Now, as you can see over here, we have 5 to the power square root of p divided by 2. So from the given statement, we can say that 5 square root of p. Now what do we need to do for this to be the same as this? We simply need to raise it to the power of 1 over 2. So now what you do on the left is what you do on the right. Now we will have 5 to the power square root of p divided by 2 is equals to the square root of 64, which is 8. Now you have values for your unknowns. So we said 3 to the power 3x is 4 multiplied by 3 to the power negative 3 divided by 8. So now 4 divided by 8 will be 1 over 2 multiplied by 3 to the power 3. So now remember, if you have a negative exponent, you can take it to the denominator and your exponent becomes positive. If your exponent is negative in the denominator, you can take it to the numerator and it will become positive. So now this is 1 over 2 times 27. So 2 times 27 is 54. Okay.